March 15th, 1945, Essen, Germany. Krupp Steelworks, Factory Complex 7. The air raid siren screams at 2:47 a.m. I don't move anymore when I hear it. None of us do. We just keep working, keep the machines running, because stopping means execution. The RAF comes every night now. Sometimes the Americans during the day, the city is rubble, the factory is rubble. But we keep producing shells that will never reach the front. I am Friedrich Weber, 38 years old, production supervisor at the Krupp Armaments Works, husband, father of two, member of the Nazi Party since 1937, and in 3 weeks, when the Americans arrive, I will stand against a wall waiting to be shot. March 15th, 1945, 47 workers today. We had 340 in January. The foreign laborers are dying faster than we can replace them. Muller says the Americans are 80 kilometers away. I burned my party membership book. Too late, I think. Far too late. This is a story few dare to tell. Subscribe to hear the other side of liberation. Like if you want the full truth of Wu-Tu, comment, can ordinary people be held accountable for extraordinary evil? Let's discuss what history teaches us. The machines are screaming, always screaming. Stamping presses that turn steel sheets into shell casings, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, since 1942, when I was promoted to supervisor. That's when they brought in the foreign workers. Ostarbeiter, they called them, Eastern workers. Poles, Russians, Ukrainians, slave labor. Let me be clear about what that means, because after the war, many of us will lie. We'll say we didn't know. We'll say we were just following orders. We'll say we had no choice. I knew. I had choices. I made them. In 1942, I supervised 180 German workers producing artillery shells, good wages, union protection, at least until the party dissolved the unions, fair conditions. Then Reichsminister Speer's production decree came down. Total war. Total mobilization, every German man to the front or the factory, and every factory to be supplemented with foreign labor. They arrived in cattle cars, hundreds of them, thin, terrified, speaking languages I didn't understand, Poles from the general government, Soviet prisoners of war, French forced laborers, later concentration camp inmates from Buchenwald, identifiable by their striped uniforms and hollow eyes. My job was to make them work, to extract productivity from humans treated as machines, to meet quotas set by men in Berlin who'd never touched a stamping press. I told myself I was protecting them, that if I didn't supervise them, someone worse would, that I treated them better than other supervisors, that I occasionally looked away when they stole food, that I sometimes falsified death reports to avoid investigations. These things were true. They're also irrelevant. The bombs are falling now. I can hear them. Distant thunder that grows closer. The RAF Lancaster bombers drop their payloads in patterns, walking destruction across the Ruhr Valley. Essen has been bombed 272 times since 1940. The city centre is gone. The Dom Cathedral is a skeleton. Entire neighbourhoods are ash. But the Krupp works keeps producing. We're underground now, mostly. The factory moved into tunnels blasted from rock, using the labour of those same foreign workers. Thousands died in the construction. Their bodies were trucked away. I signed the transport manifests. I signed so many manifests. Herr Weber, a voice cuts through the machine noise. It's Dietrich, my assistant supervisor, 22 years old, too young for the front due to a clubfoot. He's terrified always. The Eastern Tunnel collapsed, 17 workers trapped. Germans or foreign? I ask automatically. It's the first question. Always. Foreign. Russians, I think. I nod. Russians. That means no rescue operation. German workers, we dig for days. Foreign workers, especially Soviet prisoners, we write off. Orders from above. Save the equipment, not the workers. Seal the tunnel, I tell him. Mark it as structurally unsound. Move remaining workers to Sector 4. Dietrich's face goes grey. He knows what sealing means. Those 17 men will suffocate in the dark. But he nods. He'll do it. Because refusing means you become one of the buried. This is what we've become. This is what I've become. The bombing stops around 4 a.m. The all-clear sounds, we keep working. Production quota for today, 2,400 75mm shell casings. Yesterday we made 2,100. The day before, 980. The numbers drop every day. Machines break, workers die, supply chains collapse. But the quotas never change. At 6 a.m. I do my rounds, inspecting machinery, checking work quality, counting workers. The foreign labourers are skeletal. They wear thin prison uniforms despite March cold. They receive 1,100 calories per day, officially. In reality, maybe 600. They sleep in unheated barracks. They work 12-hour shifts. They die at a rate of approximately 4 per week in my section alone. I walk past them. They don't look at me. Looking at supervisors can be interpreted as insubordination. Insubordination means beatings, sometimes execution. There's a young Polish woman at Press 7, maybe 19. I don't know her name. We're not supposed to use names. She's been here 3 months. She's competent, fast, careful. Yesterday she fainted from exhaustion. I had her taken to the medical station instead of shot. The foreman questioned my decision. She's productive, I told him. Replacing her costs time. He accepted this. Economic efficiency justifies mercy. That's the logic we live by. She's back at the press today. Her hands shake, but she works. I don't speak to her. What would I say? At 8 a.m. the day shift changes. New workers shuffle in. The night shift shuffles out. Grey faces, dead eyes. The machinery never stops. I go to my office. It's a concrete cube carved from the tunnel wall, a desk, a filing cabinet, a telephone that rarely works. On the wall, a portrait of the Führer. In my drawer, a Walter PPK pistol, standard issue for supervisors. We're authorized to shoot workers for sabotage, insubordination, or insufficient productivity. I've never used it. Some supervisors use theirs weekly. I've never used it. And I tell myself this matters, that this makes me different, better. It doesn't. The telephone rings. Somehow, miraculously, it works today. Weber, I answer. Friedrich, it's Müller. Ernst Müller, my friend since university. We studied engineering together in München before the world went insane. Now he's a production coordinator at Krupp headquarters. What's left of it? Listen carefully. The Americans crossed the Rhine 3 days ago. They're moving fast. Remagen Bridge. They're coming here. My blood goes cold. When? Days. Maybe 2 weeks. The Wehrmacht is collapsing. There's no organized defense. Friedrich, listen to me. Get out. Take your family and go south. Bavaria. The Americans might not reach there. Or Switzerland. Cross the border. I can't abandon my post, I say automatically. That's desertion. They'll hang me. The war is over, Friedrich. Over. In 2 weeks there won't be anyone left to hang deserters. But there will be Americans to hang party members, to hang anyone who worked slave labor. I'm not a war criminal, I say, but my voice sounds hollow even to me. Aren't you? Müller's voice is quiet. Sad. We all are, Friedrich. Everyone who participated, everyone who knew and did nothing. We're all guilty. The line goes dead. The telephone system, failing again. I sit at my desk. Müller's words echo. We're all guilty. I think about my party membership. Joined in 1937. Not required, not initially. I joined because it helped my career. Because saying no felt dangerous. Because everyone was joining. Because I believed, partially at least, in the promises. Germany restored. German pride. German strength. I didn't believe in the camps. I told myself the camps were temporary, that the Jews were being relocated, not exterminated, that the stories were propaganda, that our government wouldn't do such things. I told myself many lies. The Polish girl from Press 7 appears at my office door. She shouldn't be here. Workers don't approach supervisors directly. Herr Supervisor, she says in broken German, Press 7 is broken. Hydraulic failure. I stand. Show me. We walk to press 7. The machine is dead, leaking hydraulic fluid onto the concrete floor. A major failure. Repairs will take days we don't have. When did it fail? I ask. Just now, Herr Supervisor. Her eyes don't meet mine. I examine the machine. The hydraulic line has been cut. Precisely, deliberately, sabotage. I should report this. Should have her interrogated. Should have everyone on this shift interrogated. Sabotage is a capital offense. I look at her. She's trembling, expecting death. Industrial fatigue, I say loudly, for the benefit of anyone listening. The machines are old, overused. Mark press 7 for maintenance and reassign this worker to press 4. She stares at me, confused. Alive. Go, I tell her quietly. She goes. I walk back to my office. My hands are shaking. What I just did was treason, covering up sabotage. If anyone reports me, I'll be hanged. But what does it matter now? The Americans are coming. Miller is right. The war is over. We lost. And when the Americans arrive, they'll see the foreign workers. The barracks, the bodies, the manifests with my signature. They'll see what we did. What I did. At noon, I go home. It's a 20-minute walk through ruins. Essen is a moonscape. Entire blocks are gone. Buildings are facades with nothing behind them. The streets are rubble paths. My house is still standing. Partially. The roof is damaged from a bombing raid in January. We've patched it with salvaged materials. We have no gas, intermittent electricity, sporadic water, but we have walls. That's more than most. My wife Greta is in the kitchen. She's thin. Everyone is thin. The rations are absurd now, well on 200 calories per day for Germans, less for foreign workers. The black market has collapsed. There's nothing left to buy. Friedrich, she says. She doesn't smile anymore. None of us do. There's bread, half a loaf, for all of us. All of us means Greta, myself, and our 2 children. Klaus is 12. Anna is 8. They're in the cellar. It's safer during raids. I tell Greta about Miller's call, about the Americans. Her face goes white. Will they kill us? I don't know, I say honestly. The party members, probably. The ones in positions of authority. Maybe supervisors, I don't know. You were just doing your job, she says. It's what she always says, what we all say. Just doing my job. Just following orders. Just trying to survive. My job was supervising slave labor, Greta. She flinches. We don't use that term. Not out loud. You didn't have a choice, she insists. I had choices. I chose to stay, chose to supervise, chose to sign the manifests, chose to join the party in the first place. Everyone joined the party, she argues. You had to for work. Not in 1937. In 1937 it was optional. The truth sits between us like a corpse. What will you do? She asks finally. I don't know. That night I write in my diary. I've kept it since 1938. Carefully, never anything incriminating. But tonight I write the truth. March 15th, 1945. The Americans are coming. I supervised slave labor for 3 years. 17 men died today in a tunnel collapse I could have prevented. I signed manifests for thousands of foreign workers. Some died under my supervision. I was not kind, I was not brave. I told myself I had no choice, but I had choices. I made them, and now judgment is coming. I burn the diary immediately after writing. All of it. 7 years of entries. The flames consume my words, my rationalizations, my careful evasions of truth, but burning words doesn't erase actions. March 28th, 1945. The factory is dying. We have 31 workers left, 20 Germans, 11 foreign. Production has ceased. The machinery is silent. No power, no materials, no point. But we're ordered to remain at our posts. No explanation, just orders. The city is in chaos. The Wehrmacht is gone, retreated east. The Volkssturm, Hitler's last desperate gamble, consists of boys and old men with obsolete weapons. They'll die within hours of actual combat. Everyone knows the war is lost, but no one says it aloud. Defeatism is punishable by death, and the SS still controls what's left of order. At home, Greta packs a bag. Essential items only. Clothes, photographs, Klaus's school books. He insists on taking them, as if school will exist after this. Anna's doll. My engineering degree certificate, for some reason. As if credentials will matter. "Should we go?" Greta asks. "Head south, like Müller said." I think about this. The roads are clogged with refugees. The Allies strafe anything that moves. The SS shoots deserters. And where would we go? Every direction is collapse. We stay, I decide. We face what's coming. Greta nods. She looks relieved. Running seems impossible anyway. April 10, 1945. I hear the sound at dawn. A deep rumbling. Continuous, growing closer. Tanks, American tanks. I stand at my office window. Really just a gap in the tunnel wall. The sound is unmistakable. Sherman tanks, M4s. I know the sound from intelligence briefings. The distinctive engine roar. The squeal of treads. They're here. Dietrich runs into my office. "Herr Weber, American forces entering the city. Orders are to destroy all records and evacuate." "Evacuate where?" I ask. "There's nowhere left." "I don't know. Those are the orders." I look at the filing cabinets. Personnel records. Production logs. Manifests showing every foreign worker assigned to my section, every death, every transport, my signature on thousands of documents. "Burn them," I tell Dietrich. "Burn everything." We spend 3 hours burning records, feeding documents into an oil drum fire. The smoke is thick, acrid. My eyes stream. But we can't burn everything. There are too many records, too much evidence. And the foreign workers themselves, their evidence, living testimony, the ones who survive. At 2 p.m., American forces reach the Krupp complex. The sound of engines stops, then voices, shouting, English, American English. "Hands up! Hände hoch! Come out!" I walk to the tunnel entrance, hands raised, Dietrich beside me. Behind us, 20 German workers and 11 foreign workers emerge into daylight. The Americans are young, impossibly young, boys really, 19, 20 years old, but they're strong, well-fed, their uniforms are clean, their weapons are ready. They look at us like we're vermin. An officer approaches, a captain based on his insignia. He's maybe 25. He looks at the tunnel entrance, at the machinery, at the foreign workers in their striped uniforms. His face hardens. "Who's in charge here?" he demands in accented German. I step forward. "I am Friedrich Weber, production supervisor." "Production of what?" "Artillery shells, 75mm casings." "Using slave labor." It's not a question. "Using foreign workers," I correct weakly. The captain steps close. He's shorter than me, but in this moment he's a giant. "Don't play semantic games with me, Nazi. These people are slaves. This is a slave labor camp. You ran it." "I supervise production," I say. "I was just following orders." The captain's voice drips contempt. "Save it for the trial." He turns to his soldiers. "Secure all personnel. Separate German workers from prisoners. Get medical attention for the prisoners. And find me every document that survived." Soldiers move efficiently. Foreign workers are led away, gently, carefully. German workers are lined up against the tunnel wall, hands behind heads, guarded by armed soldiers. This is it. This is execution. I think of Greta, Klaus, Anna. Will they be punished too? For my crimes, for my choices? The captain walks along our line, 20 German men. He stops at each one. Name, position. Hans Dietrich, assistant supervisor. Josef Keller, machine operator. Wilhelm Schmidt, foreman. He reaches me. Name, position. Friedrich Weber, production supervisor. Party member. I could lie, should lie, but what's the point? Yes, since 1937. The captain makes a note on a clipboard. He continues down the line. Then he confers with a sergeant. I wait for the order, wait for the rifles to raise, wait for the bullets, but they don't shoot us. Instead, The captain returns. You're all under arrest. War crimes, crimes against humanity, enslavement. You'll be transported to holding facilities and await trial. Trial, not execution. Trial. I don't understand. I expected immediate justice. A wall and bullets, not bureaucracy, not process. They load us into trucks. 20 German workers, guarded by American soldiers with weapons ready. As we drive away, I see the foreign workers being given food, real food, chocolate, cigarettes, medical attention. American soldiers are treating them like humans. The contrast is stunning, shameful. I supervised these people for 3 years, never gave them chocolate, never treated them as human, just as production units, expendable resources. And now these American boys, these conquerors, show them more kindness in 10 minutes than I showed in 3 years. We're taken to a former Wehrmacht barracks, now an American internment camp. We're processed, searched, questioned briefly, assigned to cells. Cells, not graves. I don't understand why they're not executing us. April 11th, 1945. The cell is 3 meters by 4 meters, concrete walls, a cot, a bucket, a small window with bars. I share it with Dietrich and 3 other German workers. We don't speak much. What is there to say? At noon they bring food, bread, soup, more food than I've seen in months, American rations distributed even to prisoners. Dietrich eats ravenously. I can barely swallow. The food tastes like ash, like guilt. Why aren't they killing us, Dietrich whispers. We're war criminals. They should execute us. The Americans believe in law, says Keller, the machine operator. He's older, 56, fought in the Great War. They're not like the SS. They'll give us trials, find us guilty, then execute us legally. It sounds plausible. Legal execution instead of summary execution. Very American, very proper. I don't care about the distinction. Dead is dead. That afternoon, interrogations begin. They call my name. Friedrich Weber. 2 soldiers escort me to an interrogation room. A small office. A desk. 2 chairs. An American officer sitting behind the desk. A captain. Different from yesterday. This one is older, maybe 35. He wears glasses, looks like a professor. Sit, he says in perfect German. I sit, he opens a folder, my folder presumably. Friedrich Weber, born June 12, 1906, München. Engineering degree, Technical University of München, 1928. Employed Krupp Steel Works since 1932. Nazi Party member since January 1937. Production supervisor, Factory Complex 7, since April 1942, supervised foreign labor forces numbering between 180 and 340 individuals. Currently, 11 survivors from your section. 11 survivors from 340 workers over 3 years. The math is brutal. Is this information accurate? The captain asks. Yes. Did you voluntarily join the Nazi Party? Yes. Did you supervise forced laborers at the Krupp works? Yes. Did you sign manifests authorizing the transport and assignment of forced laborers? Yes. Did laborers die under your supervision? Yes. The captain looks at me. His eyes are cold. Do you understand what you're being charged with? War crimes, I say quietly. Enslavement, crimes against humanity. Do you deny these charges? I could, should claim ignorance, coercion, impossible circumstances, should follow the script we all learned. I was just following orders. I had no choice. I tried to help them. I was a victim too, but I'm so tired of lies, tired of evasions, tired of the wait. No, I say, I don't deny it. The captain looks surprised. You're confessing. I'm stating facts. I supervised forced labor. I signed manifests. People died. These are facts. Were you coerced into this work? No. I was promoted. I accepted the promotion. Did you protest the use of forced labor? No. Did you mistreat the workers? I think about this. Did I beat them? No. Shoot them? No. Starve them? Yes, by following ration orders. Work them to death? Yes, by enforcing production quotas. I followed orders, I say. The orders cause suffering, death. So yes, I mistreated them. The captain writes in his notes. He looks troubled, as if my honesty is inconvenient. Herr Weber, I'm required to inform you of your rights. You have the right to legal counsel. You have the right to contest these charges. You have the right to present evidence and witnesses in your defense. Do you understand these rights? Yes. Do you want legal counsel? What's the point? The facts are undeniable. The point is justice, due process. Even war criminals deserve a fair trial. War criminals, that's what I am now. Not supervisor, not engineer, not father or husband. War criminal. Will I be executed? I ask. The captain hesitates. That depends on the trial, on the evidence, on your level of culpability. Some will hang, others will face imprisonment. I can't predict your case. The foreign workers who survived, I say. Will they testify? Yes. We're documenting their testimony, every survivor, every witness. Good, I say. And I mean it. They should testify, they should tell the truth. Whatever happens to me, the truth matters. The captain looks at me strangely. You're very cooperative for a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi anymore, I say. I don't know what I am, but not that. The interrogation continues for 2 hours. Every detail, every decision, every signature. The captain is thorough, methodical, fair. When it ends, I'm escorted back to my cell. Dietrich asks, "What happened?" They're documenting everything. Building cases, they'll try us properly, legally. And then some of us hang. Dietrich goes pale. The others are silent. That night, lying on the cot, I think about the Polish girl from Press 7. Did she survive? Will she testify? What will she say about me? The truth, probably. That I supervised her enslavement, that I worked her 12 hours a day, that I fed her starvation rations, that I turned her into a machine, but also, maybe, that once I didn't report her sabotage, that once I chose mercy over duty. Does one act of mercy balance 3 years of oppression? Of course not. The math doesn't work that way. You can't calculate morality like production quotas. But I hope she survived. I hope she testifies. I hope she tells everything, because the truth matters, even when, especially when, it condemns me. The sound of American boots echoes in the corridor, regular patrols, constant presence, the sound of occupation, of conquest, of judgment. April 18th, 1945. American internment camp, former Wehrmacht barracks, Essen. They bring me to a larger room today, not an interrogation room. Something else. There are chairs arranged in rows, a table at the front, American soldiers lining the walls, and sitting in the front row, 11 people in clean clothes that still hang loose on skeletal frames. The survivors from my section. My legs nearly give out. I grip the chair they guide me to. An American lieutenant stands beside me, hand on his sidearm. Not threatening, just present. A colonel enters, older, maybe 45. His uniform is crisp, his bearing military but not harsh. He looks at me, then at the survivors, then at a stack of documents on the table. This is not a trial, he begins in German. His accent is slight, he speaks well. This is a documentation hearing. We are gathering testimony from survivors of forced labor at the Krupp works. Herr Weber, you are present to verify facts and provide context. You are not required to testify against yourself, but you may clarify information. Do you understand? Yes, sir. The survivors have agreed to give their testimony in your presence. Some requested this specifically. They wanted you to hear what they have to say. They wanted me to hear, not a trial, a reckoning. The first survivor stands. A man, maybe 40, Polish accent. His camp tattoo is still visible on his forearm. My name is Tomasz Kowalski. I was brought to Krupp Factory 7 in June 1943. Transported from Łódź in cattle cars, 53 of us in one car, 8 died during transport. Their bodies were left at the station. I remember that transport. Remember signing the manifest. 45 workers received. 8 losses during transit. Not my responsibility, according to procedure. Procedure. That word we hid behind. Tomasz continues. We worked 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week. We received soup once a day, bread twice a week. Many men died from starvation, from exhaustion, from beatings. Did Herr Weber beat you? The colonel asks. No, he did not beat us, but he watched others beat us. He did not stop it. Is that accurate, Herr Weber? The colonel asks me. Yes, I say quietly. I witnessed beatings by guards and other supervisors. I did not intervene. Tomasz nods. He was not the worst. There were worse. But he was not innocent. He kept us working when we were dying. He enforced quotas that killed us. His voice breaks. My brother Piotr worked beside me. He collapsed at his machine in January 1944. Herr Weber ordered him removed, taken away. I never saw him again. I remember. A worker collapsed at press 6. Young man, early 20s. I called the guards. Standard procedure for collapsed workers. They took him to the medical station. He didn't return to work. I assumed. No, I didn't assume. I knew. Workers who went to the medical station and didn't return were dead. We all knew. We didn't acknowledge it, but we knew. I'm sorry, I say. The words are inadequate, meaningless. Tomasz looks at me. His eyes are empty. Sorry does not bring back my brother. No, I agree, it doesn't. The second survivor stands. A woman. The Polish girl from Press 7. She's still thin, but there's color in her cheeks now. The Americans have fed her, cared for her. My name is Zofia Kowalska, she says. Her German is better than I remember. I was brought to Krupp in December 1944. I was 18 years old. I worked at stamping press until the liberation. The colonel asks, did Herr Weber mistreat you? Zofia looks at me, really looks at me. He did not beat me. He did not starve me more than the rations already starved me. Once, in March, She hesitates. I damaged a machine. It was deliberate. Sabotage. He knew. I saw that he knew. But he reported it as mechanical failure. He saved my life that day. I'm shocked she's admitting this. Admitting sabotage to American officers. Why did you sabotage the machine? The colonel asks her. Because I wanted the war to end. Because every shell we made killed Allied soldiers. Because I would rather die than help the Nazis anymore. The colonel nods. He turns to me. Why did you cover up the sabotage? I think about this. Because the war was already lost. Because executing her served no purpose. Because I stop. The real reason. Because I was tired of signing death manifests. Oh, but you continued supervising forced labor, the colonel points out. Yes. Why? Because I was a coward. Because I feared what would happen to my family if I refused. Because I told myself I was powerless. Because it was easier to continue than to resist. Zofia is still looking at me. He was not kind, she says, but he was not the cruelest. There were days I thought he might be human. Then there were days I watched him work us until we collapsed. He was both things, human and monster. Like all of them, human and monster, like all of them. The testimony continues for 3 hours, 11 survivors, each one telling their story, each one describing conditions I supervised, starvation I enforced, deaths I documented, some mention small mercies. A guard I dismissed for excessive cruelty, extra rations I authorized once when productivity exceeded quotas, the sabotage I didn't report. But mostly they described the system, the dehumanization, the calculated cruelty of treating humans as production units, the daily erosion of hope, and I was part of that system, a cog in the machine that ground them down. When the testimonies end, the colonel dismisses the survivors. They file out. Some glance back at me, most don't. The colonel addresses me. Herr Weber, we have documented testimony from 11 survivors, 3 deceased workers' family members, and 4 German workers from your section. We have reviewed approximately 2,400 manifests bearing your signature. We have examined the facilities and conditions. He pauses. The evidence is overwhelming. You supervised slave labor. You enforced conditions that resulted in deaths. You were a member of the Nazi Party. You participated in war crimes. Yes, I say, because it's true. However, the colonel's tone shifts slightly. The evidence also shows complexity. You did not personally commit murder. You did not engage in torture. Several survivors testified to small acts of mercy. You have cooperated fully with interrogation. You have accepted responsibility without attempting to minimize your actions. I don't understand where he's going with this. The preliminary recommendation from the War Crimes Tribunal is imprisonment, not execution, likely 8 to 12 years, followed by denazification procedures and restrictions on future employment. I stare at him. Not execution. Not execution. But I'm guilty. The testimony proves it. Yes, you're guilty, but guilt has degrees. The architects of the slave labor system will hang. Himmler, Speer, the Krupp directors, the guards who beat prisoners to death will hang. The camp commandants who implemented extermination will hang. But supervisors who enforced the system without directly murdering people, the tribunal is recommending imprisonment rather than death. Why? I ask. Justice demands proportionality, the colonel interrupts. If we execute everyone who participated in Nazi crimes, we'd have to execute half of Germany, millions of people. That's not justice, that's genocide. But you enforced an evil system. You made choices that resulted in deaths. You bear moral and legal responsibility, but you also cooperated, showed some restraint, and accepted guilt. These factors matter in sentencing. I don't know what to say. I came here expecting death, deserving death, and they're offering imprisonment instead. What about my family, I ask. Your wife and children are not charged with crimes. They'll go through denazification, interviews, assessments. If they weren't active party participants, they'll be cleared. Your children will attend re-education programs. Your wife may face employment restrictions, but they won't be imprisoned. Greta, Klaus, Anna, they'll survive this. When? My voice cracks. When can I see them? Supervised visits may be arranged after formal sentencing. That will take several weeks. We're processing thousands of cases. May 2nd, 1945. Hitler is dead. Suicide in his bunker. The news spreads through the camp like wildfire. Some prisoners are relieved. Some are devastated. True believers to the end. Most of us just feel empty. The Führer is dead. The Reich is dead. And we're left with the wreckage. Germany surrenders unconditionally on May 8th. VE Day. Victory in Europe. The war is over. I'm in a cell when it happens. Someone down the corridor shouts the news. Then silence. What is there to celebrate? We lost. We destroyed our country. We destroyed ourselves. But also, it's over. The killing stops. That matters. May 15th, 1945. Greta visits. The Americans allow it. 30 minutes, supervised, in a bare room with a guard present. She looks older, grey in her hair, I don't remember. Lines around her eyes. She's lost weight. But she's alive. Friedrich, she says. Just my name. Then she's crying. I'm sorry, I tell her, for everything, for the choices I made, for what I put you through. They told me you'll be imprisoned. 8 to 12 years. Yes. Not executed. No. She exhales shakily. Klaus asks about you. He doesn't understand. He thinks you're a hero for working in the factory, for helping the war effort. Klaus, 12 years old, still believing the propaganda. Tell him the truth, I say. Tell him what I did, what I was part of. Don't let him grow up believing lies. He's a child, Friedrich. So were the foreign workers I supervised. Some of them, 16, 17 years old, worked to death in tunnels. Klaus needs to understand what we did, what Germany did. He needs to know so he never repeats it. Greta is quiet for a long moment. They're teaching them different now, in schools. The Americans bring films, show them the camps, Dachau, Bergen-Belsen. Klaus came home last week and vomited. He'd seen the footage, the bodies. He said it couldn't be real, that Germans wouldn't do such things. Tell him it's real. Tell him his father was part of it. I can't. You must. If we don't tell the truth now, if we don't make our children face what we did, it will happen again. Maybe not in our lifetime, but eventually. Evil returns when truth is forgotten. The guard announces our time is up. Greta stands. She looks at me with an expression I can't read. Not love, not hate, something between. I'll tell him, she says finally, the truth, all of it. June 10th, 1945. The formal sentencing hearing. I'm brought before a military tribunal. 3 American officers, a British observer, documentation stacked high. They read the charges, the evidence, the testimony. It takes 40 minutes. Then the sentence, Friedrich Weber. You are hereby sentenced to 10 years imprisonment for war crimes related to the enslavement and exploitation of forced laborers. Following your release, you will undergo mandatory denazification procedures, be prohibited from holding positions of authority, and be subject to ongoing monitoring. 10 years. I'll be 48 when released. Klaus will be 22. Anna will be 18. A decade of their lives without me. I deserve more, deserve death, but they're giving me life. Do you have anything to say? The tribunal president asks. Yes, sir. I stand. I accept this sentence. I accept responsibility for my actions. I failed as a human being. I participated in evil. I told myself I had no choice, but I did. I chose comfort over courage. I chose silence over resistance. I chose to survive by collaborating with murder. I pause, but I want the record to show that the survivors who testified, they are not responsible for my mercy. They spoke truth, and truth included my small acts of restraint. But those acts don't absolve me. They don't balance the scale. I enforced a system that killed hundreds. Saved one life by not reporting sabotage doesn't erase 3 years of oppression. The tribunal president nods. Your statement is noted. Sentence is final. They take me back to my cell. Dietrich is there. He got 12 years. Keller got 8. The foreman who beat prisoners regularly got 25. One supervisor who shot a worker for stealing food will hang. Proportionality, justice trying to measure degrees of evil. September 1945. They transfer us to a permanent prison, a former military facility converted to house war criminals. We're separated by classification. I'm in the supervisory personnel block. Not the most serious offenders, not the least. The routine is rigid. Wake at 6 a.m., breakfast, work detail, clearing rubble, repairing infrastructure, lunch, more work, dinner, lights out at 9 p.m. It's harder than anything I did during the war. Physical labor, real labor. The kind I forced others to do while I supervised from an office. The irony is not lost on me. We're required to attend re-education classes. American instructors teach us about democracy, human rights, the rule of law. They show us films of the concentration camps. Buchenwald, Auschwitz, Bergen-Belsen. Some prisoners refuse to watch, cover their eyes, insist it's propaganda. I watch every frame. Force myself to see the bodies stacked like lumber, the gas chambers, the crematoriums, the survivors who look like skeletons. This is what we did, what our government did, what I participated in by remaining silent, by following orders, by choosing not to know. After one particularly brutal film, American soldiers finding Dachau, the horror on their faces as they discover what we'd hidden, a prisoner beside me vomits. How could they do this? He whispers. How could Germans do this? We did it, I tell him. We're Germans. This is us. This is what we're capable of. I didn't know, he protests. I worked in supply depots. I never saw the camps. You didn't want to know. Neither did I. We chose ignorance because truth was too terrible. He looks at me with hatred, but he doesn't argue, because he knows I'm right. December 1945. Christmas in prison. The Americans allow religious services. A German pastor comes, carefully vetted, not a Nazi collaborator, and gives a sermon about redemption. Christ came to save sinners, he says. No one is beyond forgiveness, not even us. I want to believe this. Want to believe redemption is possible, that a decade in prison, a lifetime of guilt, can somehow balance the scales. But I think about Tomasz Kowalski's brother, about the 17 men buried in the tunnel, about hundreds of workers whose names I never learned, whose deaths I documented with clinical efficiency. How does redemption work when the dead stay dead, when no amount of guilt or punishment brings them back? The pastor talks about grace, unmerited favor, forgiveness we don't deserve. Maybe that's the point. We don't deserve it. I don't deserve the fact that I'm alive when so many aren't. Don't deserve the mercy of imprisonment instead of execution. Don't deserve to have a family waiting for me. But I have these things anyway, not because I earned them, because American soldiers believed in law instead of revenge, because a tribunal saw complexity in what I thought was clear guilt, because mercy exists even when justice demands punishment. After the service, I write a letter to Zofia Kowalska, the Polish girl from Press 7. I don't know if she'll receive it, don't know if she's still in Germany or returned to Poland, but I write anyway. Dear Zofia, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. For 3 months I supervised your enslavement. I worked you 12 hours a day. I enforced quotas that destroyed your health. I treated you as a machine, not a human being. You testified that I saved your life by not reporting your sabotage. This is true. But this single act doesn't erase the larger crime. I'm writing not to ask for absolution, but to acknowledge truth. I was guilty. I am guilty. The sentence I received, 10 years imprisonment, is less than I deserve. You deserved freedom, safety, humanity. I gave you none of these things. I hope you've returned home. I hope you found your family. I hope you rebuild a life that I tried to destroy. I will carry the weight of what I did until I die. This is appropriate. This is justice. Friedrich Weber. I don't know if they'll deliver it. The Americans monitor all prisoner correspondence. They may decide this letter serves no purpose, that contacting survivors is inappropriate. But I had to write it, had to acknowledge one more time what I did, who I hurt, what I was. June 1946. 1 year in prison. Greta visits quarterly. It's all they allow. Klaus is 13 now, growing fast. He's in the new schools, learning the real history, learning what we did. Father, he says during one visit. His voice is different, deeper, older. Is it true, what they teach us, about the camps, the murders? Yes, I tell him. Did you know? I knew there were camps. I told myself I didn't know what happened in them, but I didn't want to know. I chose not to look. Yes, Klaus, I knew. We all knew. His face crumples. My teacher says people like you made the Holocaust possible, that you weren't soldiers or SS, but you kept the system running. Is that true? Yes. Why? His voice breaks. Why didn't you stop? Why didn't you resist? Because I was afraid, because I told myself I couldn't change anything, because I chose comfort over courage, because I was weak. Klaus is crying now. I'm ashamed to be your son. The words are a knife, but they're fair. Just good, I tell him. Be ashamed, learn from it, be better than I was. Never choose silence when you witness evil. Never tell yourself you're powerless. Never prioritize your comfort over others' lives. Be better, Klaus. Be the man I failed to be. The visit ends. Klaus leaves without looking back. Greta follows him, her hand on his shoulder. I return to my cell and weep for the first time since my arrest. January 1950. 4 years served, 6 to go. The world is changing outside. Germany is divided, east and west. The Americans, British and French control the West. The Soviets control the East. The Cold War is beginning. The denazification process is accelerating. They need to rebuild Germany, need functioning administrators and engineers. Many former Nazis are being quietly rehabilitated, given reduced sentences, reintegrated into society. I'm eligible for early release if I cooperate with ongoing investigations, if I testify against higher-level war criminals. If I show genuine rehabilitation, I refuse. Not because I'm protecting anyone, but because early release feels like escaping justice. I was sentenced to 10 years. I should serve 10 years. The Americans don't understand this. You could be out in 2 years, the parole officer tells me, back with your family. Back to a normal life. There's no normal life after what I did, I tell him. I'll serve my full sentence. He shakes his head. You Germans. Even the guilty ones are stubborn. But it's not stubbornness, it's penance. Insufficient penance, but all I have. April 1953. 8 years. 2 years remaining. Anna visits. She's 16 now. Beautiful, smart. She barely remembers me. She was 8 when I was imprisoned. Why did you do it? She asks, direct, like her mother. Why did you help the Nazis? Because I was weak. Because I was selfish. Because I chose wrong. But you knew it was wrong? Yes. Not all of it, not at first. But by the time I was supervising the factory, yes, I knew. And you did it anyway? Yes. She looks at me for a long time. I don't know if I can forgive you. You shouldn't, I tell her. I don't forgive myself. Then why are you here? In prison? What's the point if you'll just hate yourself forever? The point is acknowledging truth, facing consequences, ensuring what we did is remembered so it never happens again. But it is happening again, Anna says quietly. In other places. The Soviet gulags, Mao's camps in China. We didn't learn. Humanity didn't learn. She's right. The evil continues. Different names, different ideologies, same brutality. Then we keep trying, I say. Keep remembering. Keep teaching. Keep resisting. We failed our test. You have to pass yours. Anna nods slowly. I'm studying law. At university. I want to defend human rights. Work for the United Nations, maybe. Make sure people have legal protection. Pride swells in my chest. My daughter, becoming everything I wasn't. That's good, Anna. That's very good. It doesn't make what you did okay, she adds quickly. No, it doesn't. But it means something good came from something terrible. That matters. June 1955, release day. 10 years. I'm 48 years old, grey hair, deep lines, a decade older. They give me civilian clothes, a small stipend, documentation for the denazification board, instructions for reporting to my parole officer monthly. Greta is waiting outside. Klaus isn't. He's at university in München, studying medicine. Anna is in Geneva, working for a human rights organization. My children are good people, better than me. That's what matters. Friedrich, Greta says. She doesn't embrace me. We're strangers now, connected by history and documents, but not much else. Greta, I've prepared the spare room. You can stay there until you find work. Thank you. We take the train to our old neighborhood, or what's left of it. Essen is rebuilt, partially. New buildings beside bombed ruins. New Germany beside old Germany. Moving forward because there's no other choice. The apartment is small, modest. Not our old house. That was destroyed in bombing. This is a worker's flat. Appropriate for our station now. I'm prohibited from supervisory positions, prohibited from working in manufacturing, prohibited from government employment. The Denazification Board has stamped my documentation. Category 3, lesser offender. Restrictions apply. I find work as a janitor, cleaning offices, emptying trash, physical labor. The same kind I forced others to do while I supervised from comfort. The irony remains appropriate. October 1955, 4 months out. I'm adjusting, slowly. I attend required re-education meetings, sit in circles with other former prisoners, We talk about responsibility, guilt, rebuilding. Some refuse to acknowledge guilt. We were victims too, they claim. Victims of circumstance, of propaganda. I don't argue anymore. Everyone must make their own peace. But I know the truth. We weren't victims. We were participants. We had choices. We made them. One day, cleaning offices at a rebuilt Krupp administrative building, smaller now, less important, monitored by Allied authorities, I see someone, Zofia Kowalska. She's older, obviously. 29 now. Professional clothes, a briefcase. She's working in the building, some administrative position. She sees me, recognizes me, freezes. I freeze too. Then she approaches. Herr Weber. Fräulein Kowalska. Or is it Frau? Pani Kowalska. I'm married. My husband died. There's no German equivalent. Her German is perfect now. Accent nearly gone. I'm sorry. For your loss. The war took him. Resistance fighter. He survived the war, but not the aftermath. Tuberculosis. I'm sorry. I repeat. Inadequate words. She looks at me. Really looks. You're a janitor. Yes. You were released. 4 months ago. Why are you here, at Krupp? They hire ex-prisoners. No one else will. The restrictions on my employment are severe. She nods. The Americans showed me your letter, the one you wrote in 1945. They asked if I wanted it delivered. I said yes. You read it. Yes, I meant every word. I know. She's quiet for a moment. I didn't forgive you. I still don't. What you did is unforgivable. I agree. But, she hesitates, you didn't try to escape guilt. You accepted punishment. You told the truth. That matters. Not for forgiveness, but for truth. Truth is all I have, I tell her. No, she corrects. You have life. You have freedom. You have a future. I had those things taken from me. My brother died in Auschwitz. My parents in Warsaw. My husband from disease contracted in camps. You took 3 months of my life. The Nazis took everything else. I know. Do you? Her voice rises. Do you really understand? You spent 10 years in prison. I spent the rest of my life in a prison you can't see. Every time I hear German, I remember. Every time I see uniforms, I panic. Every night I dream of machines and quotas and starvation. You get to walk free. I never will. She's right. Completely right. You're right, I say quietly. I'm sorry. It's insufficient, but I'm sorry. Zofia takes a breath, composes herself. I work here because I need to prove to myself that I survived, that I'm more than what you made me, that I have power now, agency, choice. But seeing you... She stops. It's hard. I'll request transfer to different building. You shouldn't have to see me. No, she says it firmly. I'm not the one who should leave. You work here. I work here. We both exist in the same world. That's reality. I won't run from you anymore. We stand in the hallway, former master and former slave, now just 2 people trying to survive in the wreckage. For what it's worth, I say, I think about you, about all of you, every day. What I did, what I failed to do, it doesn't help you, but you should know you're not forgotten. Good, she says. Don't forget. Remember us forever. That's what you owe. She walks away. Doesn't look back. I return to cleaning. My hands shake for hours. December 1955. Christmas again. 10 years since the last one I spent in prison. Klaus visits. He's in medical school, specializing in public health. He wants to work with refugees, displaced persons, help people the war harmed. Inna sends a letter from Geneva. She's working on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights implementation, helping countries develop legal frameworks to prevent atrocities. My children are doing the work I should have done, protecting people I failed to protect, building the world I helped destroy. Greta and I sit in the small apartment. We're not divorced, neither of us wants the stigma, but we're not really married either. We coexist, share space and history and nothing else. Do you regret it? She asks suddenly. Joining the party, working at Krupp, all of it. Every day. Would you do it differently, if you could go back? I think about this, really think. I want to say yes. I want to believe I'd resist, refuse, fight. But honestly, I don't know. The person I was then, with that level of courage, that amount of fear, I might make the same choices. That's what terrifies me most. Not that I was evil, but that I was ordinary. And ordinary people can do terrible things. Then what's the point, Greta asks, if you just do it again? The point is knowing, teaching, making sure the next generation isn't ordinary in the same way. Klaus and Anna, they're better than us. They have to be. That's how we break the cycle. Greta nods slowly. I hope you're right. So do I. April 1960. 15 years since the war ended. I'm 53 now. Still a janitor. Still reporting to parole. Still restricted. The world has moved on. Germany is recovering. The Wirtschaftswunder, economic miracle, new buildings, new prosperity, new generation. Many former Nazis are back in positions of power. Businessmen, politicians, administrators. They were rehabilitated, whitewashed, integrated back into society. I wasn't. My honesty ensured that. I admitted guilt without qualification, accepted responsibility without excuse, and that mark, that truth, follows me. I don't regret it. The truth matters more than rehabilitation. Sometimes I walk past the old Krupp complex. It's partially demolished, partially repurposed, no longer producing weapons, a symbol of old Germany being dismantled piece by piece. I see Zofia occasionally. We don't speak, just nod. Acknowledgement of shared history. She's doing well, I hear. Married again. To a Polish engineer who survived Mauthausen. They understand each other in ways I never could. I'm alone. It's appropriate. The life I destroyed included my own, but I'm alive. I have that. More than I gave others. More than I deserved, and I remember every day, every name I can recall, every face, every person whose life I touched with cruelty masked as efficiency. I remember because forgetting would be the final crime, the ultimate betrayal. The Americans didn't execute me. They gave me mercy I didn't deserve, legal process instead of revenge, life instead of death. I froze when they didn't punish me the way I expected, the way I deserved. But their mercy wasn't gift, it was burden. The burden of living with what I did, of carrying guilt without the relief of execution, of facing every day knowing I survived what others didn't. That's the punishment, and it's worse than death would have been, but it's also the only path to truth, to remembrance, to ensuring this never happens again. I clean offices, live quietly, attend memorial services, donate what little money I have to refugee organizations. Try to do small good in the wreckage of great evil. It's not enough. It will never be enough, but it's all I have. And I'll carry it until I die. Author's note. Between 1943 and 1945, approximately 100,000 forced laborers worked in the Krupp armaments works in Essen, Germany. Conditions were brutal, with high mortality rates from starvation, overwork, disease, and violence. After the war, the Nuremberg trials prosecuted major war criminals, including Krupp executives. Lower-level supervisors and administrators faced varying sentences based on their level of culpability, with many receiving prison terms rather than execution. The American occupation authorities implemented denazification programs requiring former Nazi Party members to undergo re-education and face employment restrictions. This story represents the moral complexity of ordinary Germans who participated in the Nazi system and faced consequences in the post-war period. This is Friedrich's story, the side rarely told, the guilt that execution would have ended. Subscribe. If you believe all sides of history matter, even the uncomfortable ones, like if this made you think differently about justice and mercy. Comment below. What would you do in his position? Can ordinary people caught in evil systems be redeemed? Let's have the difficult conversations history demands. Share this story. Uncomfortable truths need to be told.